But yeah, this is about the prettiest pistol out there that you can't buy anymore. Well guys, today we're gonna be talking about what I think might just be the prettiest pistol ever made. How's it going guys, and welcome to another episode of Coffee Talk. My name is Chad and this is the Hopeful Homestead. You're out here right now with me at my little campsite I built next to my tiny cabin on wheels, parked out on what my family's calling the Hopeful Homestead, a 21-acre property that we're gonna be building our forever home on. Little farmhouse, barn, the whole bit. And in this series of videos, I like to think I'm talking to all the husbands and dads out there about all the difficult things in life as we're just trying to make it through. And once again today, we're talking about firearms. That is good coffee. Let's set that cup of coffee down and get the star of the show out. The Cimarron Thunderball. I've got it in this little MASC leather holster with a little paddle on it. Makes it easy to take it on and off. When I'm out here on the property, I can just pop this on my belt loop or inside my pants. I did tear off the overhead clasp for this because I only ever wear this gun in this holster when I'm out here on the property, when there's not a risk of anybody trying to pull my gun off of me. So I want to have quick access to my pistol on my hip. And so I have just that with this holster. And as you can see, this is a beauty. It is a stainless steel Cimarron Thunderball chambered in .45 Colt. And it is a 4 3/4 inch barrel. It has the bird's head grip, and being that it's the Thunderball series, the grip protrudes out further up top and then comes down harshly and curves to the contour of your hand. I love that about these grips on Cimarrons. With a normal gunfighter grip, the grip will just start to curve on top and curve down, which results in the middle of your thumb and forefinger sliding up the grip more easily, and it makes the gun slide up a little bit more easily when you're firing it and when you're holding it. This little dip here, this little divot that pops up, really fits right in there into the groove of your thumb, so you can hold the gun well, and when it's firing, it doesn't jump out of your hand quite as easily because it's got that little pinch point that you can rest your hand on, which is nice. And then obviously the grip just contours to the shape of the inside of my hand, at least, flawlessly, and my other fingers fit right on the grip perfectly. And this does have a slammed hammer that is a fatter hammer as well. As you can see, it's wider and fatter and textured there for additional grip, and it is slammed to be lower than the level of the sights where normal Colt single action army clones, which this is what this is, will be elevated some, which when you're holding it, it just makes the approach for your thumb to be able to reach that hammer a lot easier. So you can draw and pull the hammer and be able to fire that much quicker. And honestly, if you're trying to draw and fire real quick in a hasty situation, you're pulling from the holster and you can fire from the hip real easily by pulling and already having your finger on the trigger, and you pull that hammer and it goes bang. If you don't know how single action army works, the trigger does absolutely nothing without the hammer being pulled first. As you can see, trigger does nothing. This is a loaded gun. I have the hammer sitting on an empty chamber up top. This has 5 rounds loaded into it with the cowboy load, where you load one, skip one cylinder, and load the remaining 4, and it rests that hammer down with the firing pin resting on an empty chamber, which is essential for a true single action army clone, because that firing pin is on the hammer, and it would be sitting directly on the primer of a live round lined up with the barrel of the gun if you didn't do that. So that's how I carry these. So as a result, if you don't know what fanning the hammer is, you can draw your gun and have your finger here and pull down on the trigger, and you reach and you grab the hammer and you pull the hammer down and let go, and it will immediately fire. And you can, as fast as you want to fire, you can either do it with your thumb or with your other hand, which is the popular way, being able to just hold the trigger down and bang, bang, bang as fast as you want, which is pretty cool. It turns this 5 to 6 round, single action revolver into as fast of a firing gun as you want it to be. And that's true of all single action army clones, but for this particular gun, I just absolutely love the form factor, and it is a gun you can't buy anymore. The Cimarron Thunderball has been discontinued by Cimarron, and I, for the life of me, cannot figure out why, when you see how beautiful and gorgeous this gun is. From this beautiful checkering on this awesome wood grip to the mirror stainless finish that it has, it is just a beautiful, beautiful fire. I mean, looking down the business end of that barrel with those 45 Colt rounds in there, it just means business while also being pretty styling at the same time. It's just a beautiful, beautiful pistol. Now, I found this as a used gun, obviously because it's a discontinued model, and it was in perfect condition. It was like new. So, I was able to find a nice little find here of a gun that's been discontinued for a while. And one of the benefits of the Thunderball is Cimarron actually made this with a thicker front sight and a thicker groove in the rear sight that actually makes it even easier to acquire a sight picture compared to some of the modern more recent single action army clones that Cimarron and others make, Uberti and Taylor's and company. They have a narrower rear sight and obviously a much thinner, narrower front sight, which my 5.5 inch Cimarron Thunderer that I have, that is my actual farm gun that I carry on my hip all the time. It's also got the bird's head grip, but it is a, like I said, 5.5 inch, and it's got a color case hardening finish, and so it's much more business oriented than this one. This one's for a little bit of showboatmanship. It's beautiful. Obviously it's functional, but you know, this isn't quite as accurate because it's got that 4 3/4 inch barrel. I just love the look from an aesthetic standpoint, the look of that thing. The ejector rod housing being exactly equal to the length of the barrel just looks so awesome. It just looks great. This thing does shoot well. It's a fun thing to take to the range and shoot, but being that it's such a beautiful mirror finish, stainless finish, after I finished 5 rounds, I wipe this thing down each time to make sure it's not getting any of that burn staining on the cylinder and, you know, around the end of the barrel and whatnot. Yeah, this thing can get dirtied up pretty quick, and if you don't, I used to have another stainless revolver back a couple of years ago that I didn't clean it as regularly, and the mirror finish did eventually get completely ruined because I didn't clean it off quick enough after using the gun. So this is a little bit of a save clean. You know, it can be just as functional as any other revolver I have and use, but I do take this out and shoot it, especially when I'm going out to the range with some friends or family. It's a fun gun to shoot, and it's just beautiful. Everybody always marvels at how beautiful it is. But yeah, this is about the prettiest pistol out there that you can't buy anymore. Unless you happen to get lucky and find one somewhere, you know, you're out of luck. This ain't available anymore. You can't get one. I happened to get lucky and I found it because I've always loved the Cimarron Thunderer, which has the bird's head grip. You can find them currently with a 5.5 inch barrel or a 3 inch barrel as a smaller one, but finding one with a 4 3/4 inch barrel that's equal to the ejector rod housing in a stainless finish just does not exist right now. This is a pretty pistol that I'm excited to have. I will keep this thing with me for decades to come. It will be a staple of the homestead out here, both in function and form. And it is, like I said, what I carry on my hip when I'm out here at the campsite at night camping or sitting around the fire with friends, because it's got stainless sights, and with the glow of the fire I can see those sights a little bit better. And you know, the wood and steel philosophy that I follow, you know, fits real well with this as being a nice little night gun here on my hip at the campsite. But all right, we're gonna put this back in the holster, have another sip of coffee because it's been too long. And that's going to conclude today's video. Thanks for watching all the way through. If you did, I appreciate it. Again, my name is Chad. This is the Hopeful Homestead. If you feel like sticking around, there's a video right here all about my camping guns. Go check that out and see all the guns I carry out here while I'm camping. Thanks for being here, guys. I appreciate it.